this world, every single human is born completely without power, weak and ordinary, like a candle waiting for wind. On their 18th birthday, a tattoo of fate burns itself onto their skin, deciding the rest of their lives forever. Some get a wolf, some a snake, some a rabbit. The mark you receive becomes your entire identity in this cruel world. But one rainy night, a boy saw a strange girl whose pale body was covered in hundreds of moving, glowing tattoos. Only minutes later, she collapsed and died right in front of him, blood running between the symbols on her arms. Before her eyes closed forever, she whispered 6 words to him. Do not choose your destiny, steal it from others. Our hero was an ordinary boy from a forgotten village on the edge of a dying empire. On the morning of his 18th birthday, he received the weakest possible mark anyone had ever heard of. A tiny brown cricket appeared on his shoulder, barely the size of his thumbnail and dull as old wood. His only ability was to jump just a little bit higher than a normal human being could ever jump. Everyone in the village laughed at him, and even the strict teachers at school stopped meeting his eyes. They told him again and again that with such a pathetic mark, he would never become anyone important. But every single night he saw the dying girl in his dreams, whispering the same forbidden words again. Exactly 1 year later, monstrous creatures began pouring out of glowing red cracks, tearing open in the sky. People with strong, shining tattoos were celebrated as heroes and given weapons, glory, money, and adoring crowds. People with weak marks like the cricket were rounded up and sent to the front lines as living bait. Our hero was thrown into the deepest rift first, just to slow the creatures down for a few seconds. Black claws tore straight through his chest before he could even raise his trembling hand to defend himself. The very last thing he saw was her again, dying nearby, the black phoenix on her back burning bright. He opened his eyes, gasping for air, lying in his own bed, his old bedroom impossibly real around him. He was 18 years old again, and today was the morning of his very first tattoo ceremony. But this time he remembered every single second of his pathetic death, every claw, every scream, every face. He knew the future now, and he also knew the one forbidden truth nobody in the Empire dared whisper. Tattoos of fate could actually be changed, rewritten, replaced, but only for a terrible and bloody price. Instead of attending the official ceremony, he ran away into the rain-soaked back streets of the lower city. For weeks he searched in silence, asking dangerous questions, until he finally found a hidden underground temple. Inside its black stone walls, an ancient bone needle waited on an altar, humming softly with an old hunger. Legends said it could burn brand new symbols directly into living human flesh, symbols that had never existed. But every monk who had tried before had failed, and one wrong stroke would kill him on the spot. With his teeth clenched and his hands shaking violently, he drove the bone needle deep into his own arm. The forbidden symbol of the Monkey King began to glow a furious blood red across his shoulder and chest. His muscles tore themselves apart from the inside, his bones cracked, and his vision turned white with pain. But somehow he survived the night, and by sunrise the tattoo had settled quietly into his trembling skin. He could now copy the fighting style of any enemy he watched, perfectly in just a few seconds of combat. Next, he burned the mark of the nine-tailed fox directly into the skin over his pounding ribs. Illusions bloomed around his body like living silver smoke, twisting reality wherever his fingers passed. Then came the sea dragon, and great waves of dark water bent themselves obediently to his fingertips. Then the white tiger, and his speed grew so terrible that the wind itself shattered around his shoulders. But each new tattoo silently cut years, then decades, from the small amount of life he had remaining. He kept going anyway because he knew that in exactly 1 year, all of humanity would burn alive. During a brutal raid inside a half-ruined city, he finally saw her standing in the rain again. She was alive, breathing, beautiful, and a small brown rabbit tattoo glowed faintly on the side of her neck. It was the weakest possible mark, exactly like the cricket he himself had received in his previous life. But he alone knew the truth about her that even she herself did not yet suspect or believe. In just a few more years, this fragile rabbit girl would become the strongest human ever born on Earth. And she would die alone in the final battle, saving every single living person on this dying planet. She stared in frozen silence at the impossible tattoos crawling and pulsing across both of his arms. Trembling, she whispered that those symbols simply should not exist anywhere in the known world. He answered her very quietly, almost gently, that those symbols did not exist in this world yet. She took a small step backward, real fear shining in her huge eyes, and asked who he truly was. He met her terrified gaze without blinking even a single time, and his voice was perfectly calm. "I am a man," he said softly, "who has already watched the entire world end once before, alone." That same night, he woke up screaming as every single tattoo on his body suddenly began to move. They crawled across his skin like living, hungry creatures, biting and pulling at the muscle underneath. A brand new symbol burned itself slowly onto the very center of his sweating, heaving chest. It was a mark he had never chosen, never inked, and never even seen in any ancient book. He stumbled to the cracked mirror, breathing hard, and read the glowing red words written across his heart. "Devourer of fates." The terrible ability to steal tattoos directly from the bodies of other living people. The price of using it, losing one of his own precious memories with every single tattoo.